In our previous video, we understood about the overview of NAT, right? The functions of NAT, right? So in a continuation to that, in this video, let's understand about the NAT practically. Like I said, there are different types of NATs that's available, NAT method that are available. First, let's start with the source NAT. And even to achieve source NAT, there are different possibilities, okay? Different methods we can do it. So first, let's do source NAT based on the outgoing interface specific, okay? So like, so outgoing interface specific. So in this case, it's port 5 base. All right. So in this simple topology, if you take, we have a LAN segment at the left side, and we have a WAN here. Okay. Though we are using 192.168.50 series like part of a private subnet, but in the enterprises, like in the enterprises network, in the production environment, mostly you will be seeing a the public IP addresses. So as it is a lab, I have taken a private IP segment here, but in a production environment, mostly you will be seeing an public IP here. All right. So the requirement is like whenever a traffic that's coming from any LAN segment that's this side, okay. Whenever a traffic that's coming from any LAN segment and passing through firewall and going towards WAN, then as said, like with the private IP address, it cannot connect to anything in the internet, right? So the idea is when the traffic is coming from the LAN network, like just from this PC1, when it passes through the firewall, we need to make a source NAT. Okay, we need to configure a source NAT in such a way that it would take this the IP address that we have configured at this port. It's a translation IP. Okay, so that when something is going out, like so, if you see in this direction, like I'll just delete it and show you once again for a better understanding. So how it works is, right, when the traffic that's coming from, maybe just consider for PC2, when a traffic that's coming from this side, the source is this one, like 172.16.10.12, and destination, maybe just consider 8.8.8.8 or whatever it is, like Google, Facebook, whatever it is. So once the request hits like firewall, and here in the firewall means we'll be having a route, and then following to that we'll be having a valid security policy to pass the traffic to the site, right? So once we have the security policy, in the security policy we have a NAT, right? So there, like if you're going for source IP based, okay, sorry, outgoing IP, interface based NAT, then when it is going out of this interface, like out of this interface towards internet to the destination 8.8.8.8, what it happens is the source IP address would be translated to an IP address like the IP that we configured at port 5, like 192, sorry, okay, like 192, 168, 50.1, and the destination it would come as like the same only, 8.8.8.8. Okay, because we are doing natting based on the IP address that is configured at here, the port 5, the outgoing interface. It's not specific to only port 5, like basically the outgoing interface. Okay, on the return from the destination, like in this case it's 8.8.8, right? So the source it's mentioned as like 8.8.8.8 because it's coming from that destination. However, you would be seeing the destination like 192, 168, 50.1. Okay, the 50.1 is the IP that's configured at this port. Because as per the destination or any destination in the internet, it doesn't know about the private IP segment, right? So it would be pointing towards the IP that we configured, the public IP that we configured in the outgoing interface. Also, as said, like in this, don't compare it to this topology. Like here we have a private IP only. That's because of the lab. I'm just talking about the internet. So once it comes to firewall, again, when it comes to this destination, like it would get destination added. Okay, the source IP would be still 8.8.8.8, but the destination you would be seeing the actual IP address of the client, that is 172.16.10.12. Okay, so that's how the transaction would happen. Maybe let's test the same and we'll check. Let's understand the same practically, and we'll, with the help of Wireshark analysis, we can see packet by packet as well. Let me delete this. All right, it's deleted now. Now, you see, I have a two PCs, right? The two user machines, that's PC1 and PC2. Have this IPs like 172.16.10.11 and 10.12 configured here, and we just have an L2 switch. No configuration here. It works on the default VLAN only. I'll show you the PC. Like this is PC1. So if you look IP config, so it has an IP 172.16.10.11, right? So I'll just minimize it for here, and then let me open PC2. Let's log into the local terminal and IP config. All right. So it's having an IP address 172.16.10.12. All right. So basically, and we have it's connected to the port 2 that has an IP address 172.16.10.1. And in the firewall, we already have this IP address configured because we are using the same IP for so many labs earlier. And also, like in the other side, we have IP address 192.168.50.1 that's configured at port 5. Okay. And here we have a WAN router. And then again, you know this story. Like we have a NAT network that's having in connectivity to the internet. And we have a DHCP here and NAT working towards the internet, right? All right. So now we are majorly concentrating about this transaction. Like when this PC or this PC tries to connect to internet or anything that's passing this side, the source IP address would get changed or translated to the IP that we have configured here. Okay, that's what we are going to see. So first of all, let me check whether do we have any route towards the outgoing. All right. Anyway, I have some default route pointing towards the WAN router. That is 50.100. That's fine. Now let me check. Do we have any security policy to allow the transaction? No, currently we don't have any policy. So let me create one policy, that is LAN to WAN. All right. So the incoming interface is like port number 2 here. So I'll just select here port 2, and the outgoing interface is a WAN port, that's port 5. So when it comes to source, I'll just select with all, and destination also let's make all, and service all, right? Okay. So far in our earlier labs, we used to disable this NAT, right? But in this section, we are going to understand about the NAT. So going forward, we'll be using it in all our labs. All right. So now the NAT is enabled. And if you see, there are a lot of types, right? So one is use outgoing interface address, and the other one is use dynamic IP pool and preserve source port, other stuffs like. So by default, this one use outgoing interface address is selected. So whenever you select NAT, by default method, it's using is use outgoing interface address. So let's use the same because in this video we are learning that only. So in the next video we'll be learning about dynamic IP pool. In this video, let's learn about use doing NAT based on outgoing interface address. Right? I just selected this and scroll down. Let's put all session. That's it. All right. So we have a valid security policy or firewall policy that's created to allow the transaction with NAT enabled, right? And what kind of a NAT? That is perform a NAT based on outgoing interface IP address. Okay. And as said, like we have already have the IP configurations at the interface. LAN port having 172.16.10.1 and WAN port is having an IP 192.168.50.1. All right, that's it. So now let's go here. What I'll do, I'll just open this. I think anyway we have it, right? So from both PC1 and PC2, let me try to initiate some traffic towards internet. Okay, maybe I'll just, I think this is PC1. I'll put a ping towards 8.8.8. Okay, if you see here, we are getting a response, right? Maybe I'll just put dash t, a continuous ping. All right. So now how does it work? Like the request is coming here, as said, as shown earlier. Source is mentioned 172. Means maybe I'll also do one thing. I'll take a capture to show you both on port 2 as well as on port 5. Let me minimize it for now. Let me capture at port 5 as well. All right. So now I have enabled capture at port 2 as well as on port 5. And we are initiating ICMP. Okay, here. All right. From PC1, we have initiated a continuous ping towards 8.8.8.8. Okay. So when the traffic comes, it goes, passes through the firewall, performs NATing, and it's going towards the internet. And the response is coming that is in this direction. Now, if we go here to the capture, like I think this is the port 2 capture, right? And the other one is port 5. All right. So if you see here, I'll just filter with ICMP here as well. I'll just filter with ICMP. So if you see here, like maybe starting from here, the source it's mentioned as like 172.16.0 sorry 10.11. That's the actual IP address of the client, right? So and if you see here, the destination it's mentioned as like 8.8.8.8. That's how it the actual traffic. This is what the original information that's actually hitting the firewall. And once the request comes to firewall, the firewall performs the source NAT because we are considering that this is a private IP and this is a public IP. Even though this is also a private IP, I'm just correlating with the enterprise network. So we are performing a source NAT, and from there it's taken the WAN outgoing interface IP address. 192.168.50.1 is the IP address that we have configured in the WAN link of FortiGate, right? So it translated this IP, the actual client IP, to the WAN link IP, this one, and it's taken to the internet. Okay. And if you see the return packet, this is the ping request that it went, right? And if you see the response packet from the destination, that is 8.8.8.8, it is coming back to 192.168.50.1. And then when the packet goes to firewall, again it performs this destination NAT. And see here, the source, like the 8.8.8, there is no change. But if you see the destination, it is translated back from 192.168.50.1 to 172.16.10.11. That's the actual client IP address. So the entire communication happens the same way. Like from the actual client IP to this destination, it's going. As soon as it crosses the firewall, it performs the translation at the firewall, and it changes the IP address, means from the actual client IP address to the WAN link IP, because we selected that particular method of source NAT, right? And it reaches the destination, and from the destination, the response is again coming back to WAN interface of the FortiGate only. And once it reaches the FortiGate, again FortiGate performs the destination NAT, and without means modifying the source, like it's again, see, from 192.168.50.1, this IP translated to back to the client IP address and send it back to the client. So this is how the entire thing happens. All right. So this is what we refer it as like source NAT based on outgoing interface IP address. So whatever the request that's coming, when it crosses the firewall, that source would get translated to this IP. Okay, maybe I'll do one thing. So far we have seen for this, right? I'll just minimize this. Let's go to this PC2 and you can initiate ping, or if you want to initiate some other traffic, web traffic also, you can do it. I'll just open a browser. We'll try to initiate some web traffic, maybe Facebook and YouTube. I'm just randomly initiating some traffic, all right? Wikipedia, Reddit. So I could see the Facebook login page pop up, and YouTube is also loading, I think. Wikipedia, yeah, Wikipedia homepage came, and Reddit also, I think the homepage came. All right. So I means we're still in progress of connecting towards YouTube. Anyway, all right. See, now it's loading. Okay. So it's connected now. Okay. It's just asking to search something. See, we're getting the response page from YouTube. So basically, we have connected to the internet. Okay. Now, what I'll do, I'll just go back to here, the same capture and the site. So earlier we were testing with this one, right? Source IP. I'll just delete this. I'll just instead I will okay instead of putting any filters, I'll try to show you if the capture is running. I think it stopped. Okay, now I think it should. All right. See, basically here, this is the communication between client to the means client and the FortiGate, right? Maybe I'll just put a filter source.ip equal to 172.16.10.12. Okay, space. It's not okay. I think I'm using incorrect thing. Like it's not source.ip. I think it should be ip.adr and the other one is ip.src. All right. ip.src means the source IP. Okay. Mm, even if I put ip.source, then I would see only this transactions. What I'll do instead of source IP, simply I'll mention the IP only. ip.address. So that it has all the bidirectional communication, like whatever transaction that is initiated from the PC2 and that's coming towards PC2 also. Okay. So if you see here, like it's a DNS request, that's fine. Same. But this side we cannot do it because it's getting translated. All right. So what I'll do, I'll just get the IP address of the destination, and based on that, we will check on the other side. Okay. All right. So this is one destination. Okay. I think 35.244.181.201. If we check in any of the DNS query, we'll see like what is it. But anyway, that's fine. Like let's go in this direction. So this is the PC. If you look at this, there is Synac. Syn, let's follow one stream then. Okay. So if you see here, we are following one stream. It should be one destination, one among like either it should be Facebook or YouTube or Reddit or Wikipedia. Okay, because we see a complete transaction like SYN and there is a SYN act to it, and then like if you see here, SYN act to it and acknowledgement client hello server hello and application data means basically everything is happening, right? So what we'll do, let's filter with this IP address. Okay, I'll just show you because the destination IP have not changed here, right? IP address equal to 35.244.181.201. Hit enter. All right. So I see. Okay, it's loading. Somehow it's okay. All right, now it has the right. Maybe if we want to know the exact, like, who is this IP, I think it should be either Google or Facebook. CMD. Let's put NS lookup and is this IP? Okay, it says that Google user content.com. Like it could be YouTube also. Okay, no problem. So the thing what we want to understand here is like, see if you see here, just consider that this is your YouTube address. Okay, means we try to connect to Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, and Wikipedia. Just consider that this is on YouTube, because when we try to resolve it, we see something related to Google. Okay, so if you see 172.16.10.12, right, this is the source that's initiated towards this destination, like YouTube. Okay, actually, when this request is passing the firewall, the source IP of this got translated to the WAN IP, see, and then it's passed to the internet. Also, like the response from that destination from the internet is pointing towards the WAN IP of the FortiGate. And once this hits the FortiGate, again it got translated. Means on the response, FortiGate is doing the destination translation. Okay, on the source, means on the request that's going out, it's performing the source NAT. All right. So as we are performing the source NAT, on the return, it's reverting it just. Okay. So because the destination is actually pointing towards the FortiGate IP, and once the FortiGate receives that, it performs the translation to the client IP and sending it back. Okay, so this is how like the NAT works. And as said, like there are different methods, multiple methods we can perform the source NAT, and this is one among them, like how to perform the NAT based on the outgoing interface. You can also have a look about this one in dashboard for views session. All right. See, we have this information, but I don't think so. Like, okay, we should see. We can add it. Okay, no problem. So, by default, what you're seeing: source IP, destination IP, destination. I means source IP, source device, then destination IP, application, protocol, port information we're seeing, right? We can also see the NAT information. So if you see here, there is a setting option. Just select it and come down. Like source interface not required. Source. This is what I'm looking for. Source NAT address, right? I just selected it. It should be added here. Let me bring it here somewhere. This side. Okay. So if you see here, maybe if I want, I can just put it this way. So actual sources 172.16.10.12, that's PC2. Okay, and that is going towards, when it crosses the firewall, this IP got translated to this WAN IP, that's 172.168, sorry, 192.168.50.1, and that's going to this destination. Okay, to all destinations. Like if you see, basically to all destinations, you would be seeing the WAN IP, same WAN IP. Okay, even if it's for a DNS or whatever it is. And even like it's been a time, right? Let's try to initiate some more traffic so that you will see few more entries there. Apart from this DNS entries, you would be seeing some more. Refresh it. See, so Google Web. Okay, so basically for all the transaction, whenever a request is coming from this to this destination, okay, when it crosses the firewall, this IP got translated to this IP. Okay, so this is how SourceNet works when you go for outgoing interface base.